What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Lauren Mays. I'm bringing it to you today. I actually did not do an August wrap-up, so today I'm doing an August and September wrap-up. My favorite book that I've read recently and I read in the month of August is The Final Empire, Brandon Sanderson, Mistborn trilogy. I read the first one, the most solid beginning to a series that I've ever read. It's so good. I can't wait to continue it. Freaking gorgeous. That's all I will say. If you haven't tried out Brandon Sanderson, just do it. It's so good. So of course I gave that 5 out of 5 stars because that is just such a solid beginning to, I hope, to an amazing trilogy. And then I read Angie Thomas, The Hate You Give, which I truly enjoyed as well. I highly recommend this for anyone to read, especially for me being a white middle-class female. This really kind of put a lot into perspective for me. It makes you think differently, and the fact that her family is so loving, and you know, her family is no different than my family, but why are they treated so differently? I don't know. I just, you know, just with everything going on in America, and it's just, it's important. And I think it was written very eloquently. It dealt with a lot of different issues in this book. I just really enjoyed it, and I recommend anybody reading it. I listened to the audiobook of it on Audible. Really enjoyed it. So the audiobook, the book, highly recommend it. The Hate You Give. Then Leanna from Leanna's Library and myself are trying to get through Cassandra Clare's massive thing, you know. Red City of Bones. Actually really enjoyed it. Obviously this is the first of the series, and if this is her lowest point, then I'm looking forward to the whole series because this book was not that bad. Yes, it has some tropey things. It's what we love about YA, you guys. Yeah, getting through the Mortal Instruments. I love this version of it. You know, floppy paperback, we all love those. Next, I have really gotten into graphic novels lately. I'm trying to get my hands on anything because they're A, very easy to get through, and it's just a different experience because you get the visual. Normally in a book you have to create the visual and the audio. You get the visual, but you create your own audio kind of thing, so it kind of does half of it for you, and it kind of feels like you're watching a series. So I got to 1 through 4 of The Walking Dead, which I have enjoyed. It does follow the series pretty well. It goes so quickly. I mean, I feel like each season's like one book almost. There's some strong points to the series, and I mean, the graphic novels just get way more gritty and the characters are a little different. So if you enjoy The Walking Dead, I think you should try out the graphic novels because they're very fun. You get to see your characters in a different way. And Daryl's not in it, which is really sad. He's one of my favorites, obviously. He's like everybody's favorite. But 1 through 4 is really enjoyable, so I've continued on with the series. They look really cool when they're kind of stacked together. So yeah, so that's what I read in the month of August. So I'm gonna go into September now. I did start The Unseen World by Liz Moore. I got about halfway through. It was just kind of slow for my liking. It's very interesting. The premise is that I just kind of wanted to like fast forward and see what was going on, but I don't like fast forwarding. It kind of weirds me out, and then I feel like I'm missing something, and I don't know. It's kind of about a young girl who is raised by a very brilliant man, and she's kind of homeschooled and she goes to his lectures, so she doesn't have many social skills as a normal, you know, like, what did you say, like elementary school, junior high school kid would have, because she's not used to being around the, you know, people of her same age. And so her father is starting to experience Alzheimer's symptoms, if I'm saying that correctly. And so he's starting to kind of lose it a little bit, and doesn't want to admit it. So she kind of goes under the care of somebody else and gets to go to public school and sees what it's like to be around people of her own age. And of course she's, you know, very intelligent herself because she's used to being raised around adults, but it's coming out. There are a lot of secrets behind what her dad was planning, and this whole thing that he was planning, like, who knows if it was good, who knows if it was bad, and so she's finding out all these secrets about her father, so it kind of flashes forward when she's an adult and she's telling her story. So it's very interesting, but it's just like, there's one little interesting part, and then I'm like, waiting for something to happen, and then, oh, that's kind of cool, and then waiting for something to happen, and I kind of got bored of that. So I don't know if I'm going to finish it. I don't know if it's totally DNF just yet, but I was listening to it on an audiobook, and the audiobook was cool, but I felt like I was zoning in and out, so I had to take a break from it. So that's the first book that I read in September. Well, I didn't finish it in September. And then I finished Our Dark Duet, which is the ending of the duology for the Savage Song. And I loved the Savage Song. It had me hooked throughout the whole thing. Dark Duet took me a little bit longer to get through. I still absolutely love V.E. Schwab, but I was a little disappointed in Our Dark Duet. There were some really cool things that happened. I just felt like my characters were a little different. In the second one, I don't want to say too much, but the character that I truly loved, I just felt like he was just different and not as lovable in this one. So it was just hard to, you know, see him. I just wish I saw the change instead of it just being like, oh, and abrupt, I guess. August is just very different now. I didn't see the change in him. It was just from the first book into this book, he was just very different. The ending I actually quite enjoyed. It had a nice twist to it at the end, and then of course it kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger and you're like, what does that even mean? And I read this with Elliot Brooks. You know, I feel like we were kind of on the same wavelength about it, but I still feel like I need to like talk about it. Like what did you think happened at the end? What did I think happened at the end? Those I mean, it is kind of cool to leave it on a cliffhanger because I like the interpretation that, you know, everyone kind of thinks differently of what happened. But I still love Victoria Schwab, V.E. Schwab, so much. So I, you know, can't completely, I just love her writing. So it's a fun duology. It's something original and different. So yeah, I didn't think it was my absolute favorite, but it wasn't absolutely horrible, and I just love V.E. Schwab. So that's how I feel about that. Then I got to volume 5 of the Walking Dead graphic novels. By this time it would be like extreme spoilers if you're at this point, but there's just some weird storyline things, but I don't hate it, so I'm continuing. It's just very different from the show at this point. It's way darker in the graphic novels than, yeah. So the books that I'm currently continuing to read, oh, one more that I finished. I got to Eligible, Curtis Sittenfeld. This is a Pride and Prejudice retelling. I actually really enjoyed this. I couldn't put it down. I listened to the book of this. I got it from the library and I owned it. It's just books like this I enjoy listening to because they're, you know, this was very fast paced. I read it very quickly. It was kind of addicting. Obviously Pride and Prejudice, they are my excuse me. I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce has like sorry, it's a bad joke. Oh, hey, spider. There's just a spider in the corner. Pride and Prejudice, my absolute favorite characters of all time. I have a very strong relationship with them. I read them and hang out with them once a year. And this obviously made me want to crave to just like reread Pride and Prejudice because I just missed. And I was thinking like if I were to write a Pride and Prejudice retelling, I just wouldn't because I just think Jane Austen just has the best story. It was fun. There's some things I felt were out of character for some of my characters. But it was really fun and it was a different story. If I tell you all about it, it's just gonna be like spoiler. If you've read this, let me know what you think as well if you love the characters as much as I do. I was addicted to it and I couldn't put it down, so that says something. Was it everything that I wanted it to be? No, but it wasn't that bad. This is exactly every single character in Pride and Prejudice, them in modern time, and it's in America, so it's set in Cincinnati, Ohio, of all places. That's where my family lives, and they go between New York and LA, and basically Bingley, which they actually say first names in here, which I guess in the 21st century you do say first names, but like Chip Bingley is on this show called Eligible, which is kind of like The Bachelor, which is kind of weird. Yeah, and so he ends up like not proposing to a girl in the end because Bingley is a hopeless romantic and he, you know, and so he meets Jane in real life and then has to go back to the show. Jane felt a little out of character for me. I put her up on a pedestal. I absolutely love Jane. They're in their like late 30s, so she's doing artificial insemination. So if you can kind of get an idea of where the story might go, that she's trying to get pregnant on her own and raise her own child while also meeting Bingley. So that has like a little twist to it. And then Elizabeth is a writer in New York, and Darcy is a surgeon who lives in Los Angeles, or, you know, but they're all from Cincinnati, and his home is in Cincinnati, Ohio, so they all meet there. Elizabeth was a tiny bit out of character for me. She got a little annoying, which I guess Elizabeth Bennet can get a little annoying. I just thought she would be a little bit more, I don't know. I'm just very picky about my characters. But overall, I think you should check it out. It was fun, interesting, couldn't put it down. Something good there, you know what I'm saying? What I'm continuing to read is City of Ashes, continuing this Cassandra Clare Mortal Instruments. A little bit more than halfway, so I plan to finish this very soon. Yeah, I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks right now because I've been cleaning and in this like decluttering zone, so I like to listen to books while I'm, you know. So I am also following it along with the book and sometimes like kind of going off and reading a little bit. I'm enjoying this. The second book is really interesting. Bitch has got me. That's all I say is Cassandra Clare. I used to shit on you and I'm sorry, but you just have this compelling, I want to read your stories. I like your characters. It's not the most brilliant, amazing books that I've ever read, but I just want to read them. They're a craving to me. So bitch has got me. That's all I'm going to say. I'm on the second book and enjoying it. I'm also in the middle of volume 6 of the Walking Dead series. Can't really say much about this because it is volume 6, but I am enjoying this series. So that is currently what I read in August, September, and what I'm currently reading right now. Let me know if you have also read any of these. I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Maybe we can chat about them. That is my wrap up. I'm sticking to it. So thank you guys for watching this video. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next one.